Today we are talking selfishness on today's life, and we are glad that you could tune in to watch live because we are live from Equa Television Studios. And my name is Joyce Yakwari. I have the queens on the show today with me, Lois Turaki and Sele Elisha.
Good morning.
How are you doing?
Great, thank you.
Selfishness, that's the topic for today. So are you ready to, selflessly give it to them?
Selflessly, yeah.
Well, I just want to encourage our viewers that we are live, and you can send in your comments on Facebook and also on YouTube, and we'll take it live on the show. Your comments are important to us. It shows that we interact with you, and at least we learn from each other. The GM is not in the studio today. He's not on the show today because he lost a relative. So please, we just want you to say a word of prayer for him and his entire family, for God to comfort the entire family. And we'll be expecting him to be back soon to join us on the show talking about today's life. Also, we have a community on Facebook which is called the TLC, that is Today's Life Community. You can be part of the community by joining in. Send a request. It's a private community. Send a request and you'll be part of it when you are approved. And you can send any comments, suggestions on today's life particularly, and we accept any of your input. And that's a community for people that follow us back to back on the show talking about today's life. And today, like I said, we'll be talking selfishness. What does that mean? Can selfishness be positive, or is it only negative? Or what are the aspects or the situations that someone can be selfish? We'll be talking about it today on the show. I'm already excited, and I will encourage you not to change the dial. Just stay with us even as we talk and even hear from you too. Lois, what is selfishness?
Okay, selfishness can mean a person's motive or action that is lacking consideration. You're strictly considering yourself and not other people, even if it means putting them in danger or not. It can. I feel selfishness can be positive or negative in whatever context that it is, but then you are considering yourself chiefly without taking the other person into consideration.
Sell any different opinion?
Yeah, not really different, but just to add up, I think selfish, and just like you say, it's the use of me always, without actually thinking the consequences of your actions to people. And I think selfishness is mostly negative than positive, because whatever you do out of just me, subsequently you're hurting people around you, because you're only considering what will benefit you and not what will benefit other people. So I mean, selfishness is mostly the use of chiefly just about me, even though we have to be careful to look at the narrow between selfishness and being greedy, because you'll be greedy while you're being selfish at a point in time. But sometimes there's just a thin line that will actually separate the two. But chiefly selfishness is all about me.
Okay, this is of interest. What do you think is that thin line between selfishness and greediness? Like, what separates them? Or what is selfishness clearly and greediness, so that people won't, because I know most times they say you are selfish, you are greedy, or you are this type of thing, without necessarily knowing the definition of these terms.
Okay, if you ask me, I think mostly greediness has to do with you wanting to occupy everything. Like, you just want everything about you. But selfishness can be, you don't want everything, but what would just be for you. So then, like, let's take for example, the look of Abraham and Lot. Let me just use that as an example to look at greed. When he was asked to choose where to stay, you saw that like Lot was actually being very selfish, because he looked at where would benefit me first. That place looks fertile and green. Let me choose that place first. Whatever will benefit you guys from this side, I don't care. All I'm concerned is about me, what will be of interest to me at the end of the day. So I think basically that's just a slim thin line, even though most times they go together, but that's just a slim line between the two.
Well, I feel greediness is more about acquiring like things, material things. I feel I'm not so sure, but I think so. like acquiring things, material things, maybe food. You want to eat all of it, not minding that other people too need to share out of it, and other things, material things for me. Then for selfishness, it can be a decision or your action or maybe a motive that you have that wants to favor you alone and not favoring the other person.
For me, I think selfishness has to do with self, just like you guys have said, me, I. Then greediness has to do with even taking other people's properties, you know, taking other people's things, like covetousness. Like you take more and you are not satisfied, even though we're not differentiating the two. But are there situations where someone can be defined or described as being selfish?
In a positive
What
way,
are
like,
they? No, we're now talking selfishness
okay.
in it, because when you talk selfishness all the time is negative, more like this person is selfish in a negative way. And or what are the situations that you think someone can be tagged selfish?
I think a typical example of what when they say someone will be tagged or someone is selfish or someone is being tagged selfish is when you see the person always putting himself first before any other person. When it comes to decision making, you look at what will I gain at the end of the day, not being concerned about what your actions or decisions, how it will affect other people around. So most time people who are being tagged as being selfish are people who always put themselves above every other person else, forgetting the fact that what the decision you're about to take might not favor other people, forgetting the fact that maybe what timing you set for a particular production might not favor other people. Why wouldn't you look at the health situation of another person? Why wouldn't you look at what taking people's input to see how this thing will be established should be better, rather than just sitting down in your comfort zone and just drafting out a report or drafting out a production scheme that is only you at the end of the day that will benefit from it, not minding. And most time when someone is being selfish, you don't mind, you just develop this thick skin to what people have to say, because you don't even want to hear their input at the end of the day. All your concern is if what you're about to say will not favor me at the end of the day, just shut up. So most time when someone is being selfish, you see them always personalizing things about they and they, me at the end of the day. So people are of no importance there most times,
And that is wrong.
very.
Because okay, I am asking this because there are situations that I know people get selfish. This is not an excuse or trying to justify selfishness. Situations where people get selfish because maybe they've been hurt before, or maybe they tried some different type of way, it didn't work out, and they decide to shut everyone out. Do you think that person is being selfish, or will you call it a different name?
It's still selfishness. Okay, like I said earlier, it can be negative or it can be positive depending on the context. Because talking about someone that has been hurt and doesn't want to get into that particular position again, you're trying to shield yourself from problem or getting to that getting away from that situation that you were before. It's you shielding yourself. It's selfish of you to do that, but then you have to do it for your own sanity. So it's still selfishness, but in a way that is kind of positive.
Then when is selfishness right, and when is selfishness
If you
wrong?
ask me
It's
the same
selfishness,
question,
like
yes.
it's not a good thing at all. Even if you're doing it because you want to shield yourself, you are pushing people that love you away from you, which is not nice. That's why when you are in a particular situation that you feel you want to be alone, people will still want to come and maybe come to your door and knock. Why are you not picking our calls? Why? Because it's not nice for you to just shut people out.
But
People that love you.
Like I said, I'm not okay, this is debatable though, but it's not like I am for or against, you know. But I just want to clear it, like, yes, there are situations that you shut people out, you try to be on your own, be your own peace, like manage your own space, but people still want
to get into your
Yes,
personal space.
Because no one is
okay,
an island.
let me bring up this now. The Bible says, guard your heart
with all diligence.
with all diligence. And now, maybe that's like a scripture, and you've taken it to to practice it. Then I know Sele is someone that likes to sow seed in people's life, negative seeds, you know. She can sow it in me, and I know myself, I'm not strong enough. I'm a vacant soil, and whatsoever she sows in me will definitely grow, because I will water it, and I will fertilize it, and I will groom it for it to grow, because I listen to her, and I will start practicing those things that she has been sowing in my heart. Now the Bible says, guard your heart with all diligence. If you know what that means, you know that hear no evil, see no evil, talk no evil. Like, stay away from even trouble, stay away from anything that will influence you, stay away from anything that will penetrate into your mind, your body, and your soul. That's how I understand that scripture. If I start staying away from Sele, you know, for my own benefit, if I start avoiding her and even tell her, because I'm a good person, I'll sweet it, Sele, I don't think I want to be friends, because I am even a weak person, and these are my weaknesses, and I feel if you bring more of this sowing of seed, which are best at, it will influence me and to attack my, you know, my mind, body, and soul. In that moment, will you call me selfish?
I won't call you selfish.
That's is it because I took time to describe it this way?
Yeah, I won't call you selfish, because personally, to me, we'll have to sit down and look at what is being selfish here.
Okay.
Because
let's sit down and look at it.
To me, I see that as being self-love. There are situations whereby you tend to guard your heart. We've seen people falling victim to bitterness as a result of not loving themselves first. The Bible says, love your neighbor as yourself. Now, the Bible is trying to tell not to be selfish here, right? You've learned how to love yourself. You've learned what is good for you. So it's what you have learned to do for yourself most time that you give to people. People who you see them being negative, or who are being very like venoms, it's as a result of a reflection of their self, because you don't even know what you want, and so you tend to give out evil. And sometimes when you don't love yourself enough, the love you're meant to give yourself, you search for it from other people, and when those people don't love you back in that return, you get hurt. Now, I won't call you selfish, because you got to discover you've loved yourself. You know what you want. And you discover that being around you is not proper for me. There are times when Jesus was away from the crowd, not because he was avoiding them, but as he wanted, because from my understanding, you wanted to go to a point whereby you can refill yourself. You've given a lot. So I have come to a point that I think I need to refill myself again. And possibly to refill myself, I have to be away from people for a while. Most times it's just for a while. Not like I want you guys totally out of my life. But I'm just trying to let you know I'm human. And sometimes I can get to a point of breaking down, because if I keep giving you too much, then where do I put myself? At a point in time, it's discovered that you've invested so much in people and you didn't invest in yourself. You can only give what you have. You can't give what you don't have. You can't drink from an empty cup. It has to be filled for me to give you to drink from. So at that point in time, I'm not going to call you selfish, because you're actually looking at your mind, you're looking at your soul, you're looking at the fact that you're giving it too much. And if I'm a wise person, for you to even bring yourself to let me know that, Sele, this is what you do, and I should go back and think like, she's not being selfish. She actually lets me know that what I'm doing or what I'm saying, the seeds. Then if I'm wise, I should go and retract myself, so do something to also help myself. So at that point in time, I won't call that selfish. I will call that self-love, because you want to feel yourself to be able to give more. I'm not just the only person that'll be around you eventually. I can't be greedy. I can't just say I want you all to myself. What about other people? You're not responsible to me in any way. So when we learn to define certain terms and know what they mean at that point in time, then you know, you won't just open your mouth and say, this girl is being selfish. Do you even know what selfish means in the first place? For just use that term. Sometimes we use words carelessly, not even knowing what they mean in the first place. So that's what I feel to me.
Okay.
I think I hold the same opinion. Like, you're not being selfish about it, but you're trying to help the other person. Just like she said, if you are wise, you will go and have a reflect of, oh, okay, this is what this person complained about, that I'm this, I'm this, I'm this. Okay, how can I help myself to be better? And try to see if we can be friends, since what I'm doing now is not helping the other person. How can I do better to help to see how I can change myself, change my attitude, do things better, and then we can be friends with this person that you so much want to be friends with. So in that particular context, it's a good one.
Okay, so before we go into selfishness in its totality, that's talking about the negative. Like I always say, when you talk selfishness, it's always related to the negative. Let's bring up points or examples of positive selfishness. How someone can be selfish in a positive way, but he won't be tagged selfish. Do you understand? Like scenarios that you know that this person is being selfish, but because it's positive, because it's just like Lois said, there is the positive and the negative. You know, what are the situations, what are the examples that someone can be selfish but he's doing it, or he or she is doing it, he or she is doing it in a positive way. I wonder why I had to say that 3 times.
Okay, earlier you mentioned about when Jesus had to go away from the crowd to refill himself. I think that's those kind of scenarios you're trying to is a positive selfishness. You're trying to stay away from certain things, refill yourself, and then when you come back to people, you know how to relate more, you know what to tell them and all of that. And talking about keeping away from people, especially during maybe breakups, I think people want to isolate themselves, especially during those periods, breakup, or where you lose a loved one or something like that. You just want to be away from people. People might see you as being selfish at that moment, but they might not know what you're going through at that time, and you need to stay away. You need to have your own me time, like try to get yourself together and be the best version of yourself when you're around people. So it's a different kind of selfishness to me.
Well, to me, another example of being a positive selfishness is, let me bring it down to maybe here at work or in school. There are times that I know I'm in a group of friends, and I know they are the type that when you sit in class and you just listen to what the lecturer says, you grab. But I know myself, I need to go back to some even textbook and go back and cross-check. So sometimes I might decide to not even tell you guys, hey, I'm leaving this place. I'll just look for a way, the library or something, to study. You might term that as being selfish, but I know myself that I cannot meet up to your level of grabbing. So I rather go, restudy again, so that when we come back, people might look at that as being selfish, but to me, that's positive selfishness. Same thing comes to work. I know that I have a presentation by 7. I cannot stay and be gisting with everybody else. So while you guys are gisting, before you realize, where's Stella? I've actually gone to, start checking, preparing my script. You might say that, oh, so it's only, but I know you don't have programs like I do by that time. So I have to retract myself, go study somewhere. So these are some instances of positive, even though you might think it's been selfish, but as I said, it's self-love. I love myself. I will call that self-love, because I need to go to the side and study so that I will not embarrass my father's generation. So
this is so interesting, and you know why I came from that angle. Sometimes we tend to justify a lot of things, especially when it has to do with us. Like we see it, we know that no, this one, we are wrong in it, but we try to justify, we try to give excuses, we try to pad it so that it will be like what it is, like at least it will be different from what people define it as, and at least I won't be bad in the eyes of people because I have reasons. We have reasons for everything. We just gave so many reasons for being selfish, and we are still selfish. Well, let me not judge. It's not like we're in the courtroom and I have to. Will you call yourself a selfish person?
I'm selfish.
Selfish sometimes.
Okay, so as I started with, okay, just the negative selfishness. You know, you won't tag yourself selfish, right?
I think so.
Like, okay, this is important. And why did I say that? Is selfishness is deep. Selfishness is not something that you just define and let it be at the surface. No, you have to bring up examples. You have to bring up even justifications. When we look at the selfishness, love is not selfish. If you are defining love, it's not selfish at all. You give. Love is giving. You have to keep giving. You have to keep giving. But there are points in our lives that we feel we've given so much that we feel so empty. I'm tired of giving, because receivers don't even have limits. They will definitely continue asking. It's more like, okay, you have someone that maybe doesn't really work in your community or your family or your neighbor, and he's always asking you. They come, ask you for salt, ask you for oil, ask you for this, ask you for that. You know, there are times that you'll be pissed off. You'll be like, this person always coming to give or coming to take. When will I ever, get from him? There was a story of a selfless woman. Her neighbor was always coming to her to take. What's happening today? Please give me rice. I don't have oil. I don't have salt. I don't have this. I don't have that. She was always giving. Like, when anytime she hears a knock, there's a particular way that some particular people say, like, not beggars. Like, there's a particular way that someone would knock, that when you are used to it, you know that this is the person. Then she just asks, what is it? Then they will give. Then, like, her own family got tired of it. That's her children. One day they asked her, she did something. She was always doing something. When a neighbor comes to ask for salt and all these things, she makes sure that in the week she goes to the neighbor to ask for one thing. It's not like she needs it. She doesn't even have use for it. She just asks so that, then come back home and just keep them or use them and all. Then her daughter asked her one day, why do you always do that? Like, you know that you will not use this thing, but you still go to the neighbor, to ask, okay, give me salt and the rest. She said no, she doesn't want the neighbor to feel she was tired of giving. Like, she was tired of being selfless. She was tired of always, okay, take this, do this and the rest. And maybe the neighbor shouldn't feel, okay, she was just a receiver and she wasn't given the opportunity to give. At the end of the day, that story is very deep and is very important in our lives. See how this woman was so selfless that she even had to think on behalf of her neighbor to give her the opportunity for her to even give the little that she has. Even if she will keep it, when the neighbor doesn't have, she will come back and take the same thing. See the lesson. Sometimes, even in our selfishness or even in our anger or tiredness, where we feel like, okay, we've given enough, we don't think of a different strategy to see how, okay, we shouldn't feel overwhelmed. Because if you're a selfless person, you'll feel overwhelmed at some point. You'll feel, okay, there's this popular saying that receivers don't have limit. You as a giver, you have to have a limit. You have to have discipline, because they will always receive from you. That's a societal, will I say, agreement, it's like they get together to agree on it, that okay, because receivers don't have limits, you have to. No, but there are people that are not tired of giving. They always give, even when they don't have. They always give. I know somebody that when you ask him something, even if he doesn't have, he will borrow it from other people. No, I know you want to justify this. I'm not saying that you give, and no. Sometimes give opportunities.
Okay.
Give opportunities too. Jesus gave. He even died. God gave his only begotten son. Only. Selah is like, let's say you are married. Then maybe you struggled to conceive. At the end of the day, you got, maybe, what's your favorite? Is it baby girl or baby boy?
Girl.
You got a baby girl. I don't know why you love the different gender. You got the baby girl. Then at the end of the day, let's say you had to give out or away that baby girl for something good, though. Not like you give her out on, like, for your own selfish interest, but more like, okay, doing what Abraham was asked to do. Do you understand? Like, in that scenario, if you are the one, what will you do?
The Bible says it's better to give than to receive. So I feel even in all this our positive selfishness, like we should never get tired of giving. Like
We shouldn't.
we should never. Like we should. There is not even an excuse not to give when you have it. But sometimes I don't really understand the whole scenario of I don't have and I'll still go and borrow.
That is what I was trying to say, because you know, if you look at it critically, honestly, it's easy to see than to do it, because just like we rightly admit, we will be selfish when it comes to, there are certain scenarios that will request you being selfish. And why I was trying to say but while you were talking was because when you look at it critically in now today's life, most people who always come to ask are the people who find it very difficult to give. They just want to receive from you, and they find it very difficult to also extend the same hand this way. Most people are like this: give me, but I'll hold back mine. So when you tend to look at people of that nature, definitely it becomes so draining when I keep giving you, and it's just like the man that was pardoned in the Bible for the money he was owing.
Yeah.
But the same man went to ask someone that was owing him. Are you seeing how selfishness plays out? We are human, yes. So there are sometimes that you just discover that, okay, I've been selfish. That's if you actually have the Spirit of God to actually let you know that you've been selfish most time. Why don't you consider people? We've had people, no matter how high and mighty they are, they'll just sit down. It's as if every decision I'm taking is just for me. Why don't I hear what do my workers have to say? What else can you contribute? They are now being selfless, opening the door. Even though they know that what you might actually bring, they know it all, but they just want you to, feel among that you also contributed. Even if it's just a little you've given, they know that it will do something at the end of the day. It will play a role. So when I'm looking at this term selfish, it's not just about the material things. It even goes a long way with even our ideas, our choices. Some very little things, you don't even actually take them, that notice them, that this is important. But it goes a long way to that. Take a look at Jonah in the Bible, where he was asked to go to Nineveh to go and preach. I will have done the same thing he did. These are the same people that are wicked. I mean, I know God, He will forgive them. And sometimes you feel pain. These people have been very mean. And you want me to go and talk to them, and I know they will repent. And me, they have been worshiping you. Sometimes humanly you will begin to, display those kind of things. But what is the Bible telling us to do at the end of the day? That's why sometimes they'll say, what would Jesus do? Sometimes, so this is that's just the turning point that will come for you. Okay, humanly, I feel people are like this, but if I'll put myself in the shoe of Jesus, what will He do? It will actually help me to know that I should not get tired. Even though it will get tiring, but I shouldn't get tired. Yes, I will give you, but if I feel that it will get to a point that I will see, just like I said, self-love, I retract to a place where I refill myself, then come back to you again. And just let you know, not like I'm pushing you away, but just like you said, this woman had to think on behalf of her neighbor. I know if the neighbor actually said, I know this man don't need this thing, but she just asked me
She's
because
teaching me how to give
yes,
when I don't have.
When I don't have. No matter how little it is, that I will just take it out of it. That person will be happy that I shared with it at the end of the day. So these are, some of those little things that we are challenged with in our day-to-day, but God will help us actually.
And I've learned something over the years. If you always feel you are the less privileged, you will always be the less privileged. If you always feel you don't have, you will always not have. You will create a mentality. It is a habit that over time will be a mentality, and it will be a situation, it will be a place of existence for you, because you will be in it and you will not be able to go out, because you are always in need. You always do not have. No matter how little you have, you always say you do not have. And from that little, you can't even give anybody, because you already condition your mind that you do not have. But when you live in, the existence of or the reality of, I will spend this money, or I will do this, and I know that I will have. You will always have. And that's why givers always have that conditioned mentality. They always feel, A giver doesn't sit to say, okay, so if we spend this money now, then what will happen? No. If we spend it, it will come again. Definitely, it will come. I think I watched something recently where the person had to buy some things for other people, and that was the last that the person had. But he went out of his way to buy those things and give out. And he was like, if he doesn't come, fine. It comes, fine. He was blessed with a lot of those things that he gave us, and he was wondering what really happened. And it's true, when you give, you receive. The Bible can never lie about giving. Never. Is even the law of nature. When you automatically, people that are even unbelievers that believe in the universe, do you know they believe in giving too? They believe in the law of nature. They believe that when you put in, there is 10,000 fold, 100 folds that you get back at the end of the day. But when you seclude yourself and you're always, I don't have, this is my last, this is my life. You condition yourself to the extent that that's how your life will be. And do you know there are some people that have a lot of things, but they don't give. Those are the most terrible people. A lot of resources, they know that they can help this person and they will never lack. A lot of opportunities, a lot of ideas, a lot of every other thing they've been blessed with, but it's hard for them to give. It's hard in short, they are selfish. Every other thing they think is for themselves, for their family members, for whatsoever benefit. And if they are giving you, there's definitely a benefit attached. You know, there are people that will even tell you, I have to give it because I know I will receive it. Like, it's a blessing, let me just do it. No, give it wholeheartedly without even any expectations at the end of the day. I think that's the beauty in the miracle that will happen at the end of the day. But when you put your mind that, okay, I'm giving you this because law of nature, or God said if we give, we'll receive and everything, you are just doing it as a ritual. Because definitely you know that at the end of the day, you are getting it. How can we be selfless in all our doing? And I'm using giving because that's the greatest. Like, do you know what it means for you to give something? Like, that is love. That is selflessness. That is the greatest of all. For you to even give your last, for even if you have a lot, for you to give out. Do you know how it is? And God gave his only begotten son. He gave his son, not like, okay, he gave maybe money or something. No, he gave someone that was sacrificed for the world, for the sins of the world, for the shame, for the sickness, for every other thing of the world. What have you ever given something that you felt so broken that you were like, no, I shouldn't have. This is a selfless act. Like, okay, I think I have to, applaud myself because, man, I shouldn't, I don't believe that I did this.
I don't know if I've given something and I say, why did I have to give or something. Whenever I give something out, I always feel proud of myself. I don't know why, but I just feel, okay, I always thank God for the opportunity He has given me to actually give out something. Like, I always find opportunities to do that. Sometimes it can be difficult for you, especially if it's something you really cherish, and then you have to, like, okay, let me give this thing out. It takes you a lot of things. You decide in your, should I give, should I not give, or those kind of things. But later on, when I give out that thing, I find this peace, I find this joy. The whole thing is the Bible. Like, we have always been saying it. We've heard our pastors say it, and a lot of spiritual fathers will always say the Bible is our manual. Like, it's everything we need. Once you just remember, okay, what would Jesus do in this situation? What will he do? You will be selfless in every of your actions. But when we allow our humanity definitely to come to some of our decisions, we'll see where we'll be very selfish at one point or the other. As humans, we are bound to be. But then, even in our humanity, how can we do better? Like, in maybe 1 to 10, maybe you'll be selfish in 1, or maybe half.
It happens actually, just like Lois was stating. Maybe I can't really remember now if I've actually felt pained by giving something out. Definitely, there's just this, you feel like something has gone out of you. But the joy of knowing that somehow, you don't know how, but somehow, something will come up. Because I've actually said, I remember then in school, before I had this knowledge of like really still growing up, I was like, God, this is the last 1,000 I have, and I don't even know if they'll come for visiting till like next 2 months. And now I'm supposed to put offering tomorrow. That was the little knowledge I had. I think I was saying in chess 1 or 2. I said, I'm going to give you 500. Promise me that they will come for me. Now, it was painful to me because I knew I had exam was coming, I had to math and other things to buy. It was paining me that I was going to put that offering, because then I was not really having the knowledge of where the offering was actually going to. It was painful, but maybe eventually, like, unknown to me, like, it wasn't even someone I was expecting that was going to come for the visit. My aunt just showed. I wasn't even expecting her to show up, because she's not like she had a child in that school. So this was just a little knowledge I had at that age, even though I didn't know what it meant, but to just give. So I think it's really something that I think first and foremost, for you to learn to be selfless is when you actually have the knowledge of who Christ is. I know that, just like she said, if what would God do, or what would Jesus do in that situation, to know that I gave something out, but no matter how painful it might feel that you've given it out of that time, especially if you cherish that thing so much, somehow that thing has a way of coming back. God might even say something that you don't even know, like to even bless you in a way that you didn't even expect. There are times you just, little miracles that you don't even, take them. Someone can just pay your tea fare. You just realize that throughout the week, I didn't even spend a dime. Someone just gave me a leave and stuff. Like, these are ways God send, miracles our way. So I think it's something we need to learn.
Okay, before I tell you mine, let me read some comments on Facebook. We have Theresa Obende with the, I think that's an amen emoji, right? Then we have Tom Gas with the thumb up. Thank you very much. We have Buba Manasseh, good work. Thank you for watching. Then we have Lucy John Kaga, more grace with the amen emoji. Thank you very much, viewers, for watching and also commenting. We would like to hear what you think of selfishness and any other situation you've been in that you felt, okay, you were selfish and you shouldn't have, or you were selfless and it taught you a lesson from it. This is very important so that other viewers will learn from it, because the world has become so selfish that we even kill each other for money. I look at my sister and I see money. We kill each other for different things, for positions, promotion, for just hatred, or we sabotage each other for one thing or the other. The world has gotten used to using things, loving things and using people, and want to influence that culture. We want to at least change it with our voices on Equa Television Africa, and that is why we're talking selfishness. Well, before the messages, there was a time I gave something that I couldn't sleep at night. I thought about it throughout. I don't know if that would make me a big Christian or not, but I'm being honest. It wasn't one time or 2 times or anything. I know there were times that I gave some things out. I would think of it though. I would think of it like, okay, I want to give this. I will even plan it, strategy. Let me just give, and I'll just go, remove or buy or whatsoever, then give. In the night, my heart will be, wow, what happened to me? I really did this. I am human. Don't judge me.
Of course.
Like, do you understand? Like, there were moments. I even remember the recent one. That I was like, what's wrong with me? I really did this. Like, is this me? Like, I was so selfless that I did that. But when I get home, I think on that. The situations of what happened was, of all these things, when I was going through that, my heart was like pumping too much blood. I prayed, God, give me the comfort. God just give me that peace. Let me know I did the right thing, and there was one I gave. I think I gave with selfishness or something. Maybe I was expecting a lot, or I think I needed a miracle, a breakthrough. I don't know what I wanted at the moment. Then I gave. It was to my church. Then it was as if nobody gave. Like, they just sidelined me. Like, I wasn't even not like I was expecting recognition, but I know that point. Like, there was a particular thing there that when you do, then there will be assessment record. Nobody asked me. Nobody prayed for, nobody did anything. I was like, wow, Joyce, good for you. Do you understand? By the end of the day, I was like, I shouldn't be expecting this from these people. I think the bigger blessing should be from God. Like he sees, he knows and I refused to write my name on it. You understand? Because I even gave it to someone. I was like, please, my name should not be mentioned. And I said all these things. It wasn't mentioned at the end of the day. Then I felt as if, you understand, I did not. And in all the record, I was the one with the highest. And I was like, maybe I should have, you understand? But I was like, at the end of the day, I was like, no. This is the flesh talking, but what is the spirit saying? If I'm giving this, I should know that God has taught me to give. I shouldn't even make a big announcement, and it shouldn't even affect me this much. If I'm able to give this certain thing, that means